Host Daniel Hill, and this is the weekend edition of the Instagram Stories. There's a couple of new things to talk about that Instagram is testing, and then we're going to get into a TikTok strategy explanation that is absolutely excellent, and it uses the illustration of Jack Antonoff to Taylor Swift, which you know I'm going to be a fan of always. Let's dive into Instagram news first. Instagram is experimenting with more frames inside carousel posts. Right now, you can have up to 10 pictures in a carousel post. However, in the screenshot that I'm looking at, which I will link to in the show notes, Instagram is testing adding up to 15 photos or videos in a carousel post. If you are doing something like a photo dump from last month, or a really great vacation you went on, or a series of explainer videos that all go together and you want to link them in a carousel, having that limit of 10 can be a little bit frustrating. Nice to see that Instagram is getting creative here by increasing the number of posts that you can have in a carousel post. When this comes out, of course, and it is live, I will let you know that it is available. The other Instagram news item is that Instagram is testing a new feature called Spins for Reels. Here's how this works. It would allow other users to swap out the text or audio in your Reels when they post it with their own spin. This is currently an internal prototype and isn't being tested externally, according to Instagram, even though it was uncovered by reverse engineering hacker Alessandro Paluzzi. It's kind of like starting a trend by creating a template that others can then put their own creative spin on. So if there's a trending template that somebody created, you could swap out the text or the audio to change the meaning to fit another scenario. For example, you could have a video of your dog yawning and then share it with the text, "Me on Monday mornings." But then if you turn on the spins feature, someone else could reshare your video and swap out the text with something like "me trying to stay awake in class." Based on the screenshot, it seems like creators would get credit for their original reel each time that someone creates a spin based off of it, which would allow them to reach a wider audience. Of course, users could turn that feature on and off for different reels, so if you had a reel that you didn't want other users to spin off of, then they would be prevented. This isn't the same as Reels remix functionality, which is just like TikTok's duet feature, where you can appear in a video side by side with another original video and kind of give your commentary or give your own reaction. Spins are a little bit more creative and collaborative without needing to have you both in the video at the same time, if that makes sense. It's hard to describe, but take a look at the screenshot that I will link to in the show notes. We are going to take a quick break. When we come back, I'm going to share a really good way to think about brands partnering with creators using a Taylor Swift analogy, which I love. So stick around. And we're back. If you're a brand, perhaps you've thought about working with creators to make content for your page. However, you might not necessarily feel comfortable to give creative control to someone else or post someone else's content on your page. You think of your brand and your reputation, and maybe you don't feel comfortable to do that. TikTok has something called the TikTok Marketplace, which is where you can, or where brands can connect with creators. They posted a really good Zoom call where they explained about the TikTok Creator Marketplace, how it works, some of the features, reasons to use it. And in there, they had an excellent analogy explaining why it's so important for brands to work with creators. And they used the analogy of a music producer. What does a music producer do? Great question. You're going to like this clip.
But when it comes to the matter of trusting a creator's vision and leveraging them effectively in comedy content, a really great metaphor comparison that I like to draw is between a music producer and a musician, right? I'm sure many of us have a favorite music producer. Mine is Jack Antonoff. Swifties on the call, raise up. And if you think about the relationship between a musician and a music producer, the musician in this context is an advertiser, right? The person whose image and brand and ideas are shared on the platform or shared with the world. In the context of music, that's their album, that's their song. In the context of TikTok, that's the advertisement that you're working on. And what a creator can do is the same thing that a producer can do for a really good musician. So essentially, when you think about the role that Jack Antonoff plays in Taylor Swift's music, I'm sorry if that's the millionth time you've heard about Taylor Swift, especially amid the Super Bowl, but it's the best parallel I could think of. You know, they add the sound that people love. They add the depth to the music that they know listeners are going to respond to. They have like an artistic quality and vision that really contributes to the overall output. And that is what a creator can do. When you follow the advice that we just laid out, which again are based off of a creator's perspectives, or when you literally work with them, they're sort of contributing this je ne sais quoi, this like almost intangible knowledge of how to be funny and be good on TikTok that just like takes content to the next level. So they really have that kind of artistic value that is almost invaluable in the realm of TikTok, especially since entertainment and quality videos are the most important factor in driving connection. So there's this great quote from a music producer who was once asked in an interview, like, what do you actually bring to the table? Like, what do you as a music producer do? And that particular producer said, I have taste, and the musicians I work with trust my taste. And the musicians that particular producer worked with are like billionaires. So I think he has a point. And essentially that's what we're recommending that you do. Just leverage the knowledge and expertise of the people who've built comedy on TikTok, and you will find results.
That clip came from a presentation that was called How to Be Funny on TikTok. And I'll be honest with you, the whole presentation did not have a huge amount of gems. That was my favorite part, but I will link to it in the show notes so that you can check it out for yourself. That is going to do it for today's episode. As always, thank you for listening. If you have time, go create some content. Go make something silly, riff off somebody else's content, whatever project you've had in your mind that would be cool to create and you just never got around to doing it before, plan it out. Take some steps, post it. It might not be awesome, but at least you would have made something and you can look back and be proud of it. Thank you so much for listening. At least you would have made something and you can look back and be proud of it. Thank you so much for listening.
I'm not yet a member of the Instagram team, but my podcast covers many Instagram themes. But the name, image, logos are trademarks at Instagram and the LCC in the USA and every territory. Everything I publish independently until Zuck returns my DMs and starts to pay my salary. Not sponsored or endorsed, no lies, no fallacies. I use their logo with permission, not malicious or callously. No trademark violation, filling all criteria. Follow me on Instagram or Twitter at Daniel Hill Media.